Okay, this thing really needs no intro because you've read the title and seen the thumbnail. I'm going to try speedrun some of these top layers because they're just super boring, but I think they should be talked about anyways. So let's just jump straight into this. Books. This references the start of Horrid Henry, where books were created first and then it was created into an animated cartoon. TV show. This is just the animated cartoon that everybody knows Horrid Henry for. Ashton Primary. This just references the school that Horrid Henry goes to. In the movie, they also tried to recreate Ashton Primary School, but it just failed. It looked nothing like the actual school from the Horrid Henry cartoon. Movie. This just references the Horrid Henry movie made in 2011. Rose Class Zero. This is in reference to a comic that Horrid Henry loves to read that's just about disgusting things like boogers and snot. Frere Jacques. This is a song that Peter and his friends always sing. Alliterative names. This is in reference to all the characters having their own alliterative names, such as Horrid Henry, Rude Ralph, Beefy Bert, Perfect Peter, and the list just goes on. The Purple Hand Gang is just a group of friends that hangs around with Henry. It consists of 8 members: Horrid Henry, Rude Ralph, Aerobic Al, Beefy Bert, Brainy Brian, Greedy Graham, Weepy William, and Anxious Andrew. Transformations. This is in reference to when Horrid Henry gets angry or angry at someone and he transforms himself into a monster or some sort of animal. Just another cartoon gimmick really. When I'm King fantasies. This is basically in reference to when Henry always talks about that when he's king he will be able to do whatever he wants and whatever he likes.
When I'm king, uninvited visitors will get exactly the welcome they deserve!
No! Exclamation mark. This is when something bad happens to Henry or the start of the episode is beginning. He will basically just scream no and then the episode will start or the episode will end. Basically just an intro and outro for the cartoon. Eureka. This is just in reference to when Henry has a good idea for one of his devious plans or just anything in general and he just says Eureka. Don't be Horrid Henry. This is just something that his parents say to him all the time when he misbehaves.
Don't be horrid, Henry!
Killer Boy Rats. This is just a rock band that Henry's interested in, that's basically it. Original theme song. This is just referencing in how the theme song has just changed over the years. Francesca Simon. This is just the person who wrote all the Horrid Henry books before they were made into cartoons. Too Cool for School. This is just in reference to a TV show that Horrid Henry watches, and also in reference to something that he actually was a part of in the movie. It's basically just a game show where you have to complete all these challenges and you can win money. Sort of just like a Mr. Beast video. Girls rule, girls are cool. This is another reference to a song that Margaret and her friends made up.
Girls rule, girls are cool! Down with boys!
Secret Club. Secret Club just refers to Margaret's opposite of the Purple Hand Gang. Basically just a club consisting of girls that's against Horrid Henry's club. Best Boys Club. This is Peter's club with all of his friends in. They basically just act like nerds. I don't know. This is Beefy Bert's iconic line and also the only thing he really says. Fang. Fang is Henry's pet hamster. Second theme song. This is in reference to when the theme song changed at the end. That's sort of all I could find for this. Smelly Nappy Baby. This is a common insult that Henry calls his brother Peter, as well as Worm. Horrid Henry gets married. This is in reference to an episode where Horrid Henry gets married to Margaret. Stink bombs. Stink bombs are one of the items that Henry uses just in his elaborate evil plans and used for pranks on other people. Horrid Henry website. This is just a website made by the creators to dedicate it to Horrid Henry, just to sell merch and things like that. Our Lady Gideonta's School. This is in reference to the movie where Henry was sent to an all-girls school by his grandma because she always had this perception that Henry was a female, but we'll get onto that later in the Iceberg. But essentially, since Ashton Primary is closing down in the film, Margaret and Henry are sent out to different schools for tryout days, as well as all the other pupils. Henry ends up at Our Lady Gideonta's school, and Margaret and Henry are later chased out once they find out that Henry's a boy, hence the name being Our Lady Gideonta's. It's an all-girls school. Brick House School. Brick House was a private school that was secretly behind the scenes of Ashton Primary shutting down, so the principal of the school could get all the children from Ashton Primary to come over to Brick House, so all their parents had to pay for them to go to private school. Ashton Primary School uniform incident. The only thing I can find referring to this is in an episode where Henry and Rude Ralph raid Miss Oddbod's confiscation cupboard, and since everyone had previously been assigned school uniform, they couldn't actually tell who raided the cupboard, hence Miss Oddbod not seeing their faces, and the only thing that she could remember is seeing them wearing blazers. Margaret nearly ruins Henry's life in Horrid Henry Tells the Truth. In the episode Horrid Henry Tells the Truth, Henry is accused of stealing Margaret's mobile phone. Margaret goes to the extent of putting Henry in the local newspaper, having paparazzi show up to the school, starting protests, and even even getting him on the news. The entire town and also the entire school have completely turned on Henry over an accusation that hasn't even been proven. Henry's dad has even declined a pay rise at work over what was going on in the mainstream media. It was later revealed at the end of the episode that Lazy Linda had actually taken the mobile phone and forgot to give it back. Henry's dad's real name. His name is actually Simon. Miss Battleaxe isn't evil. This refers to an episode where Miss Battleaxe is having an affair with Soggy Sid, and it sort of shows off how nice Miss Battleaxe can actually be and proves that she's not evil when she has something else going on in her life. Hence, throughout the entire episode, Miss Battleaxe seems super happy once she's found out, and she's even being nice to Henry when he gets answers wrong in class.
So, who can tell me what is 8 times 7? Henry?
87.
Well, the answer I was looking for was 56. But why not 87? That's close enough. Well done, Henry.
Horrid Henry movie, awful CGI. This is in reference to the horrible CGI used in the Horrid Henry movie. Henry transforming into a T-Rex, the slime jar thrown at Miss Lovely, and the slime pit in Too Cool for School. These are just examples of the horrible CGI in the Horrid Henry movie. Video games. I'm taking it that this is in reference to the Horrid Henry games that have been created. There was first a Nintendo DS version of Horrid Henry, which kind of sucked, then was brought over to the Wii as an exact replica, and then there was recently made a Nintendo Switch version of Horrid Henry, which is just a rip-off of Mario Kart, but it just completely sucks. Honestly, they should have scrapped all 3 ideas for both of these 2 games. Nintendo DS version sucks, I don't know why they brought it to the Wii. The Nintendo Switch thing is sort of just a last resort for a money grab. Horrid Henry albums. This is in reference to Horrid Henry literally having his own account on Spotify, as well as the Killer Boy Rats. Miss Oddbod run in the Horrid Henry movie. I'm guessing this is in reference into the Horrid Henry movie where Miss Oddbod was walking down the corridor, and she kind of just walks super goofy and weird. Just something that's in the film to appeal to kids. Nonsensical timeline. I guess this makes sense as the Horrid Henry cartoon and movie do not match up in any way whatsoever. Like, Horrid Henry literally saves the school from closure in the Horrid Henry movie, but in 2011 once the film was done and released, Horrid Henry was not praised in any sort of way in the cartoon, or was it ever mentioned. So I'm guessing the Horrid Henry movie just takes place in a different universe. Large Hindi speaking demographic. This is just in reference to how some of the episodes have been dubbed into Hindi, as they can literally be found on YouTube. International dubs. This is just referencing more dubs. Episodes have been translated into different languages and put out. Miranda Richardson. Miranda is just one of the people who used to do the narration for the audiobooks. Soggy Sid is a child abuser. Whilst researching this, I could literally only find the moments where Soggy Sid would try to grab Henry, and as he's chasing him around the school, he proceeds to grab another student. So I'm guessing that this is the only evidence. Ashton Primary unqualified teachers. So this one's kind of obvious. All the teachers in Ashton Primary aren't really that serious. I mean, I guess it is a cartoon, but at the same time, they aren't really doing their job seriously. Horrid Henry is bi or gay. I'm guessing this is in reference to the moment where he kissed Ralph, and also when he pulled Al's, Bert's, and Ralph's trousers down. Henry attempts to kill Peter. So there are actually 2 occasions of this. In the episode Moody Margaret Moves In, Margaret puts Peter in a bin for him to be sent off by the garbage truck. Henry literally knows of this and does nothing to stop it. The second example is when Henry tied his little brother to a kite to send him away when he was younger. Horrid Henry YTPs. These are just basically YouTube poops that were made back in the day of Horrid Henry. Miss Battleaxe karaoke for sport relief. This is just sort of a weird clip that the Horrid Henry producers made where Miss Battleaxe sings for sport relief. She didn't really drop any bars, I'll be honest, but it was alright. Henry equals Bart Simpson. This is in reference to the similarities in the two. Basically how they don't play by the rules, they both play pranks, etc, etc. Series is full of vomiting / nasal discharge scenes. There's a lot of scenes in the series where people are just being sick and snot is mentioned, especially in Gross Class Zero, hence the comic being centered around disgusting things of that nature, so it kind of makes sense why it's in the series. Adult jokes and references. The only thing I can find in reference to this is a clip where Henry shows Ralph something out of a book and Ralph asks, what is he doing with that cucumber?
That your favourite book, Henry?
Yeah, look at this!
What's he doing with that cucumber?
I don't think you want to know!
You can make your own assumption about that though. Musical episode. I think this is in reference to the episode where it's just completely a musical. Like the characters actually go to a musical. Or in the clip where I showed earlier of Miss Battleaxe singing. In that same episode, Horrid Henry and all the other kids in his class start to have a feeling that Miss Battleaxe is in some sort of cult, as she keeps calling herself a big sister. But I don't know, there isn't enough evidence. Adults using absurd punishments. This is very frequent in the Horrid Henry series. Henry's parents always give him the craziest punishments. No TV for a month, no TV for a week, no TV for a year, no pocket money for a month, no pocket money for a year, etc, etc. As well as the teachers as well, double, triple detention, things like that. There are super absurd punishments for Henry. Horrid Henry app. So earlier when I was talking about the game franchises of Horrid Henry, I must have completely skipped over this. So there's an app called Horrid Henry's Big Box of Pranks, and it's basically just another Horrid Henry game that completely sucks. Henry's parents are abusive. So I feel like this one's quite obvious. Henry's parents already give him insane punishments, and the way that they treat him compared to Peter is basically just abuse. All three family members that Henry lives with just completely treat him horribly in general. This is something that I'd make a whole video about, so let me know if you actually want to see something like that. Misogynist Henry. I'm guessing this is in reference to the Purple Hand Gang and the Secret Club sort of having this everlasting battle. On the Purple Hand Gang side, they sort of push, oh, girls suck, blah blah blah, and then on the Secret Club side, they think that boys suck. Basic cartoon stuff. But obviously there's lots of instances of this happening, so I can see why they call Henry a misogynist. Too Cool for School televised child abuse. In the Horrid Henry movie, when Henry was put on Too Cool for School, he was actually thrown into the couch, and once he was thrown into the couch, he was then kicked. There was also literally a point where Henry could have actually died. That's if he fell into the bog of doom. Perfect Peter alternative outfit. I'm not sure if this is referencing to all of Peter's outfits, or the fact that the creators had a different sort of design for Peter's outfit, or it could have possibly been Perfect Peter's pen pal's outfit was actually meant for Peter, because they do look insanely similar, and it seriously looks like something Peter would actually wear, but I'm not really sure. This is sort of a grey area. Ashton teachers haven't been CRB checked. I can't really find much evidence of this, but I can find a couple crimes that have been committed in Horrid Henry. The only thing I could really find is that Miss Battleaxe is an abusive teacher as she pulled Brian's ear in Horrid Henry's Horrid Heroes in front of everyone, including Miss Oddbod, in which it should have been stopped since that's actually illegal. She was also seen pulling Ralph and Graham's ears in Perfect Peter's Revenge. And then obviously Mr. Soggington. As we referred to earlier, he tries to grab Henry on multiple occasions. The only sort of crimes Miss Battleaxe has actually committed are abuse of power and unlawful punishment. Root-a-toot tracking device. In the episode Horrid Henry's New Shoes, Henry sees some new flashy shoes advertised on TV. Eventually in the episode he actually gets to have the shoes, but the shoes come with a special feature of making noise every time he takes a step. Henry's dad then points out that they'll always be able to track him because of the noise.
Great idea getting those trainers, Henry. Now we'll always know when and where you're being horrid.
There was never actually a tracking device in the shoes, and I think this is the reference here. Henry is an anti-vaxxer. This is in reference to the episode Injection Day. Henry is super scared to get an injection, and literally runs away from the nurse so he doesn't have to get an injection. He's eventually caught, and before he's injected, he literally freaks out. The animation on this is super weird as well. This isn't the only time Henry's been threatened with an injection and freaks out over it. In the episode Horrid Henry and the Germy Germ, this also happens again. And here's a couple more clips just for evidence.
Why would anyone wait to see if they needed an injection? Yes, I've come to see the doctor.
She's on her tea break at the moment. Did you want to see her?
I'm not sure. But I can still eat sweets. Really?
Jolly Josh equals Where's Wally. They both have the same design sweatshirt. I don't know if this was intentional or just an Easter egg. It's still a pretty cool relation though. Horrible Harry. Horrible Harry is a children's book series that started in 1998 and finished in 2019. It's pretty popular in America and they just use it for teaching and reading. It's based on a second grade, later third grader named Harry, and his misadventures are told through the words of his best friend, Doug. The Horrible Harry franchise has 41 books. I'm guessing it's kind of just the American version of Horrid Henry, and maybe where Francesca Simon got her inspiration from. Moody Martin. Moody Martin is the original Moody Margaret. Moody Martin was meant to be a part of the Purple Hand Gang alongside Henry and the others, but Martin was scrapped since he was too similar to Henry and also a boy, making it so all the other females wouldn't really have much of a big role in the show. Inconsistent pocket money amount. This is referring to his parents always taking away his pocket money privileges. Since Henry's such a bad kid, they always threaten and take away his pocket money for a week, a month, a year, etc. etc. Basically just another form of abuse towards Henry. Henry thank you note. The only thing I can really find on this is the Horrid Henry book. It was one of those books that never actually aired as an episode, and that's really all I can find on it. Camp Sunshine is a cult. Okay, I seriously don't know where this person has got this from because I can find no evidence of this. Even watching the entire episode, there's no sort of reference to it being a cult. It's literally just like summer camp. Horrid Henry gets bummed. So this takes place in the episode Horrid Henry Eats Out. His dad is trying to get him to go out with the family and Henry's holding onto the radiator. His dad then weirdly positions himself behind Henry to pull him off, and it just looks super weird. Henry is transgender. This is just basically in reference to Great Aunt Greta always mistaking Henry for a girl. We also see Henry in pretty feminine situations in the cartoon. As well as in the Horrid Henry movie, he's sent to an all-girls school. Perfect Peter is a psychopath. This is in reference to the way that Peter can actually be really bad, but he puts on this facade of being super good just for his parents' approval. And then in the background, whenever Peter actually wants to act bad, he never really gets in trouble for it. He's constantly praised even for his bad actions, even when Peter is in the wrongdoing. This is shown in many episodes and also the books, so I believe this to be quite true. There is even a 40-minute compilation of Perfect Peter's most horrid moments, so if that doesn't prove my point, I don't know what will. Great Aunt Greta is transphobic. This theory doesn't really have much behind it. I think this post right here basically just sums it all up, so you could pause this and have a little read if you want. Ashton Primary is a juvenile detention center. Yeah, this one again is just a grey area. I can't really find any evidence to back this. Sour Susan's Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, this actually makes a bit of sense. The fact that Sour Susan always backs up Moody Margaret even though she's a terrible friend towards her can actually prove this theory. So to be honest, yeah, I kinda do actually believe this. And this is a valid point to have on this iceberg. And to be honest, if you seriously think about it, it does go kind of deep. Stink bomb mist is mind control gas. This one's a bit far-fetched. Henry just uses stink bombs for pranks on other people and to sort of get his way. It's sort of like an attack sort of thing. We've never seen a stink bomb change a person in the Horrid Henry series, so I don't think this one's entirely accurate. Miss Oddbod uses the school for theft. There isn't really much evidence to this apart from the fact that Miss Oddbod takes things from people and can put them in the confiscation cupboard. That's the only thing I can really think of. Horrid Henry's coop. This is just something that I can't solve. It's just another grey area, so I'm sorry about that. Henry has autism. So this is a common belief that Henry actually has autism due to the way that he acts and lashes out. When Henry transforms into different characters such as a dinosaur and a snake, it represents the autistic traits of an autistic child. This would explain a lot of Henry's behavior and his smart ideas because of the creativity side of autism. Lots of fans think that he does have autism and a lot of fans think that he doesn't, but this has never been verified by anyone. Purple Hand Gang equals Black Hand Gang. Now this is actually true. The Purple Hand Gang is a parody of the Black Hand Gang, the group that assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand. This resulted in the First World War. In fact, as seen in older book prints of Horrid Henry tricking the Tooth Fairy, the club was named the Black Hand. So this is actually pretty crazy that Francesca Simon actually let this slip in. Pretty crazy that the people who run Horrid Henry haven't debunked any of this and said that it isn't true. They've just completely left it untalked about. Fluffy is God. This refers to the fact that Fluffy can literally control what time of day it is using the family TV remote, but other characters like Henry and Peter cannot control the time outside using the remote. This shows that Fluffy is literally God and can control what time of day it is. Horrid Henry tells the truth reference to false essay accusations. I guess this refers to the fact that Margaret thinks that Henry stole her mobile phone and goes around accusing him and gets a bunch of press, news and media to go against Henry, as well as the entire school hating on Henry, but that's really the only sort of conclusion I can think of. Horrid Henry on TV time warp. So this one is a little confusing. When I watched the episode, the only sort of thing that I saw to do with time is that Henry was sent out of Margaret's house at night time, but then came back to his own house in the middle of the day. So the only question I really have is, where was Henry between the nighttime and day?
Well, that's Henry gone. Let's see how the other two are getting on.
Are you happy with us here, William?
Oh, yes, I am.
Hello, Henry. Welcome back. Do you want to watch Happy Hippos with me?
Why would I want to watch that smelly, nappy baby programme?
I I think that's what the reference is with the time warp. I also do have a second theory on this. When Henry calls for Margaret's parents, they walk in from the end of the room. The camera is shown as Henry's perspective, but then one frame later it's shown that that isn't the end of the room, and that Margaret's parents would have walked in to the left of Henry, and that he would have to turn left to talk to them and not look at the bottom of the room. It's super weird to get your head around, but once you realise it actually makes sense. Ashton Primary is a fake school. In the Horrid Henry movie, you can clearly see that there is a sign outside of the school saying Ashton Primary School, but if you search this anywhere else on Google Maps, there is no such thing. There is an actual school that comes up, but it looks nothing like the school we've been shown. Also, the movie was shot in London and this other school is not located in London. I'm not going to show the school for privacy reasons, but yeah. Horrid Henry wiki comments. The Horrid Henry wiki comments are not really much, they're just people talking about the show and debating if he's gay, bi, trans, etc, etc. The series is a critique on gang wars. I can't really find much information about this, but if I had to guess, the critique on gang wars part would be between the Secret Club and the Purple Hand Gang, and how it's completely ridiculous and childish. Each character represents a personality disorder. I can't find much evidence about this, but I really do think this is a valid critique on the show. Henry is adopted. Once again, this is sort of a grey area. The only reason I can think that this is on here is because Henry is so different from his family in every single way, apart from the fact that he has the same colour hair as his father, but personality wise he doesn't share any of the same traits as his mother or father, and we've only ever seen memories of Henry as a young boy and not a baby. Miss Battleaxe 300% power. This is another grey area. I have no clue what this is referencing and I can't really find anything on it. Zippy Zoe is the hidden main villain. I seriously can't find any evidence on this and I don't think that there's any evidence to back this up. Zippy Zoe is a character in the books but not in the TV series. The Horrid Henry wiki says she appeared in the books Horrid Henry Wakes the Dead and Horrid Henry's Crazy Ketchup, which is not true because she's only in Horrid Henry Wakes the Dead, and in the book she barely gets any dialogue. If Zippy Zoe was a character that couldn't even make it to the show, why would she be portrayed as the main villain in secret? The series is Henry's trip. The only evidence I can find of this is that in the Horrid Henry lore he apparently dies of an overdose in Liverpool, so maybe he was doing this sort of thing from a young age. But for some reason on Reddit everyone seems to think that it's actually his mother who's an addict. Best Boys Club equals Hitler Youth. This is pretty far-fetched and there's zero evidence to back this. It wouldn't make any sense anyway since in the youth club they would only accept Aryan children with blue eyes and blonde hair. It doesn't really consist of any members of the Best Boys Club. Maybe Peter because of the blonde hair, but he doesn't have blue eyes. Season 6, do not research. Almost every iceberg has something that says do not search. Season 6 of the show has never been continued. It was teased back in 2022 with 5 trailers, but one of those trailers was called Horrid Henry's Social Distancing Sneak Peek, meaning that all of these episodes are basically just outdated and that there hasn't really been any more further production on the growth of Horrid Henry. Researching a bit deeper into a season 6 of the show, I literally found an entire list of season 6 episodes, all of them being planned to release in late 2030 and early 2031. The idea about series 6 is so unclear that I have no clue anymore. The Fang Mangler is real. In the Horrid Henry episodes there isn't really any evidence to support that this is actually true. The only reason I could think that this is on this iceberg is because the Fang Mangler looks very similar to a yeti, or maybe even a bear of some sort. The series is set in a dystopian future. There are quite a couple occasions of the Horrid Henry series having crazy future technology. I do want to make a full video on this in the future, and for that reason the only thing I'm going to show as evidence is this clip.
Wait, Henry, it's me. No, it's not. You're a machine. Ralph's not a machine.
Dictator Miss Lovely. I'm pretty confused on why this is on here and what it's meant to mean. I also can't find anything on it. I also don't think it would make any sense since Miss Lovely is probably the nicest character in the Horrid Henry franchise. Henry's parents are criminals. Obviously we know that Henry's parents completely hate him and they emotionally abuse and neglect him all the time, but I can't really find much about them being criminals. All I can find is everybody on Reddit thinking Henry's mum is a heroin addict. But I mean the evidence towards them being criminals is obviously the fact that they abuse Henry in all sorts of ways. Oh, and they also have their own compilation of being toxic on YouTube. Anyways, that is the end of the iceberg and I hope you did enjoy. I'm gonna make more videos on Horrid Henry in the future, so all I ask is you guys please subscribe. I made this entire video, did all this research, and I'm planning to make more just for you guys. So the least you could really do for me is subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you want to see me cover anything, and yeah, peace.